Hey, how's it going? This is Melinda and welcome to my channel. I am so excited today. I'm going to make a very fun video and talk to you about a box set that I wasn't sure was ever going to happen. This is Van Halen, the Collection 2, the Sammy Hagar years 1986 through 1996. I love how classic and pretty this box set is. I just love that classic box. It looks so good on the shelf. So glad to even have it in existence now. It came with this hype sticker, and when I saw the hype sticker, I was so thrilled. The mastering engineer for these records was Bernie Grundman. He is a first-class, world-renowned mastering engineer. And I did not know who was going to be the mastering engineer. I knew it was going to be overseen by John Landy. That was all the information I knew. So I am so thrilled that it was Bernie Grundman. You know something's in good hands if it's him. There's a lot of wonderful mastering engineers. He is one of the best. So I'm glad to now have this box set. Honestly, it was one that I never was sure would happen because there was a huge falling out between Sammy Hagar and Eddie, and I'm sure to some degree Alex. And it just really didn't seem like anything was going to ever happen. And sadly, a few years ago, Eddie passed away, which I'm still heartbroken over. But I think in the last year or so of his life, him and Sammy were able to have some discussions and some talks, and Sammy feels at peace with where they left things. He called it a love fest between the two of them in some text messages that they had. And I think in the end, when it really comes down to it, that brotherly love, the music they created, the memories they had with each other, overpowered some of the bad stuff. So to me, this box set is a celebration. And it couldn't have came on a better day. I received my copy on the 3-year anniversary of Eddie's passing. I still miss him all the time. If you're not familiar with my channel, Van Halen's my favorite band. Eddie is and always will be my favorite musician. I love him so much. So I'm going to go ahead and get into talking about these records and what I think about them. I did some shootouts with my original copies. I am fortunate enough to have a copy of all of the Sammy albums originals, and now I'm thrilled to have these remastered versions. But I want to go ahead and get this one out of the way. The rarities. There's 5 LPs in this box set, and one of them is the rarities, and I love the album cover that they chose. Very cool. I feel like Eddie's kind of front and center where he belongs. I also love this picture in the back. It kind of reminds me of some of the album covers that you would see back in the 60s. And this has all of the songs that were not featured on studio albums. So you get everything. And I know the Beatles in some of their box sets has done the same thing with what they call rarities. The Rolling Stones box set included an album called Stray Cats that had all of the singles that didn't make it onto albums. They did the same thing with this, and I love it. This also had a polyline sleeve, and I can tell you, I wish they all had polyline sleeves because one of my records has a fatal flaw. I don't know if it really has anything to do with the static, but anyway, it has a problem I will get to in a little bit. I love the custom label. I think that's really cool too. So I wish they all had the liners. I think I would have paid a little bit more to have had all of them come like this instead of the static that putting them in those inner sleeves create. But anyway, you can clean them up, and usually the static goes away with cleanings. So let's go ahead and now talk about the studio albums. First one, 5150. You know, when this one came out, when it was announced that David Lee Roth had left the band, I was devastated to some degree. I loved Dave. I thought 1984 was an amazing album. I thought they could do so much more with Dave. I didn't like it. I didn't like when Sammy joined. I didn't want things to change because I loved Van Halen the way they were. But of course, I couldn't control that. Sammy joined the band. You know, when I first heard the song, Why Can't This Be Love? I thought, okay, Eddie sounds great, but this doesn't sound like a Van Halen song. This sounds nothing like Van Halen. But I warmed up to it and learned to love it. And the songs on here that I really like are Summer Nights, Dreams. The song Get Up has special meaning for me. When I hear that, it brings me back to high school, 1 year for cheerleader tryouts. You know, this was back before iPods were a thing. I didn't own a Walkman. We had to try out for cheerleader in front of 400 mean and cruel high school students, just by ourselves. So every year when I would try out, I had a song in my head to motivate me. And Get Up was one of those songs that I tried out and made the team with. And I can just remember hearing that in my head, get up and make it work, right before running out and doing a tumbling pass in front of the student body. Great memories. And I love this album. It took a while, but now I love this album. And I'm just so grateful for anything Eddie Van Halen is on, to tell you the truth. So when hearing this remastering, my first time listening to it was just for fun. I wanted to just experience the album and the remastering. Dreams never sounded better. Love Walks In sounds incredible. I even kind of like Summer Nights on this one. I thought it sounded really, really pretty. Enjoyed the entire album, and I have no complaints. Doing a shootout is a little different. You have to put critical ears on, and you have to really listen for the differences. And there were differences. I have a Japanese version, an original, and I have a US original of this album. So to me, after doing comparisons with a critical ear, not what I normally do and just listen for the joy of the music, you know, when it comes to the original, I honestly preferred the faster rock and roll songs like Get Up and Why Can't This Be Love, Good Enough, 5150. I actually prefer them on the original. I think there's more drive, more power, more bite to them. Having said that, if I had not listened to the originals with a critical ear, the new remastered version by Bernie Grumman is totally enjoyable, totally acceptable. So, you know, if you want me to say who wins a shootout, I gotta tip it to the original, with the exception of songs like Dreams and Love Walks In. I thought those were especially beautiful. Bernie Grumman's mastering choices were excellent. But I really do enjoy the original too. So you really can't go wrong. It's mixed. In fact, the song The Inside, well, it's called Inside. That's one of those songs where there's a lot of talking, a lot going on, a little, really, it's a cool song. It really encapsulates the honeymoon they were on with Sammy Hagar. They were having a ball together. Sammy's having a great time, and it really encapsulates that. With the remaster, I could actually hear more of what everybody's saying in that crazy song. I could hear it more. But on the original, I preferred the tone and the way Sammy, he was dead center. It sounded great. I liked Sammy's vocals better. So that kind of describes how I feel about both of those. Mixed. I like things about both the original and the remastering. And in the end, if I pull one of those records out from the shelf, I'm going to be happy with either one of them. So that's just my take on 5150. Let's move on now to OU812. This is my original US pressing. Here is my original Japanese pressing. And here is the remastered version that is in the box set. First off, probably my favorite album cover of all time for Van Halen. I wish they had something like this with Dave. They have Women and Children First, which has them on there. I much prefer the album covers when they were on the album cover. I really love this picture. It's very Beatlesque, Meet the Beatles or With the Beatles. I think it's a great black and white photo, and I adore it. OU812 isn't my favorite album by Van Halen. It ranks very low. Having said that, it's still Van Halen, so it's a very, very good record. Love songs like Cabo Wabo, When It's Love, Black and Blue, I have mixed feelings about, to be honest with you. Mine All Mine is incredible. I enjoy this album very, very much. And on the remastered version, one of the key moments for me that made me realize I prefer this over my originals, the song When It's Love. You know, it comes in and it's so pretty, and I instantly get these goosebumps, and it's so beautiful. There is a polish to this version of it that's more pleasing to my ears. Now, on the originals, I heard a little more of a drum detail that really popped out at me that isn't on this one. So if you like those details, the original's really good, but it didn't give an overall, there wasn't an overall benefit to hearing the drum the way I heard it. This had a better overall pleasing sound. When It's Love was incredible. The song Black and Blue, on both versions, Eddie kills it. I'm not a fan of the lyrics of that song. I've always thought they were juvenile. I just have never been a fan of the lyrics of that song, to be honest with you. But I've always appreciated what Eddie brought to that song. It kind of starts out dark and drudgy, and then it gets into this wonderful groove. And oh my goodness, Eddie kills it on this one. It sounds so good. So overall, if you love this OU812, you are going to love it if you buy this box set. It is fantastic. Let's now move on to For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. And honestly, when this one came out, sorry for the glare, let me put this one down. That's my German pressing. This is the remastered version. When this album came out is really when I warmed up to the Sammy era. Yes, it took a while, and I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the other two albums, but this one really hit me. I got to go to a couple of the shows with this one, and I fell in love with this album. Bought the cassette, the cassette, loved it. I love Pound Cake. I love Judgment Day is very, very cool. Runaround is a favorite for me. Pleasure Dome is a favorite for me. This Dream Is Over. The Dream Is Over is fantastic. I know everybody loves Right Now. Not a favorite for me, but it's cool. The piano playing's great. Eddie's awesome always. 316 is sweet. Top of the World is great. So even the song Spanked, I'm not a... Again, that's where Sammy gets into these juvenile lyrics, but I love, oh, you bad, bad boys. I don't know. There's something about that chorus that really hooks me in. So it's great to finally have this one in a box set because it came out in 1991 when vinyl was no longer popular at all and very hard to find. You know, if you want to get one of these records, they're very expensive. So I would say for the price of the box set is probably what you would pay if you wanted to get an original of this album. So for that, I'm so thrilled that this is now in a box set. And this sounds very, very good. However, you know, if I'm putting on my critical ears and I'm not just enjoying it for the music's sake, I really prefer my German pressing. I think it sounds more open. It's like... The remastering has a wide sound stage, but I feel like with my German pressing, it's just like a top gets lifted and an overall three-dimensional sound that I prefer. And if I'm being extremely critical about this remastering, and this is extremely critical, I would say there's even a tad, just a tad, of a little bit of a distortion. I hear a little bit of a roughness, fuzziness, if you will, I don't know. It didn't strike me. And I don't have a US pressing that I do a comparison to. It's just this German pressing against this remastering. If I didn't own a German pressing and I bought this box set, would I go spend over $100 on a German pressing? I don't know, because I'm a huge Van Halen fan. They're my favorite band of all time. I would definitely consider it, I won't lie. If they're not my favorite band, no, I wouldn't. The German pressing is good, but this is good too. It's just not as good. But I enjoyed it. I'm glad it's available. So what a great album. Here's an inner sleeve. This is just an example of a pretty inner sleeve. And if they could have taken another picture from this photo session and put it on the album cover, I would have been really happy. Same with this one. One of the worst album covers. Now, things were different when this came out. I didn't remember seeing this and thinking, oh, very inappropriate. It just didn't strike me that way. We live in different times now. This is Van Halen's Balance. I'll show you that. And now I'm going to go ahead and move over to the back of the album, which I absolutely adore this picture. Eddie's front and center, as he always should be, in my opinion. I love Eddie. And a very cool photo. I love this album, and it did not get a lot of love when it came out. It was back in the time when hair metal had died off, but Van Halen was a bigger band, and they weren't considered in that hair metal genre. They were one of the tops of the top. They survived the grunge era, but they probably weren't at the top of their game at that point. Songs like I Can't Stop Loving You had a little bit more of a pop sound, but that's not a good representation of this album. I love the song The Seventh Seal. I think it's so fantastic. Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do is a favorite. Take Me Back, Deja Vu. Not Enough is a fantastic song. Feeling is a wonderful ending to this album. The big stinker for me on this one is Big Fat Money, and it's really just more about the intro of it. It kind of reminds me of the one when they got back with David Lee Roth, where the song Tattoo, the beginning of Tattoo, it's kind of like that's how I feel about Big Fat Money. The intro just really isn't very good. But overall, I think this is a really great album. And here is the remastered version. I'll show this a little bit, and then I'm going to move on to this side here. Wow. I really, here, let me show you the inner sleeve, because I think this is a beautiful inner sleeve. I love it. And what Sammy's doing here, I love it. I think it's so cool. Lyrics. The inner sleeves, they did a reproduction of all of the inner sleeves of the originals. They just put the records inside here, where I wish they had had poly-lined sleeves. So as far as sound quality on this remastered version, by far better than my US pressing. I have a US first pressing. I got it for Christmas one year. My husband bought it for me. It was still sealed. Sound quality on this one, it's wonderful, but there is a fatal flaw to my copy. There's a lot of really loud clicks and pops on the song Not Enough, one of my favorites on this album. Not just little annoying ones. Some of them are so loud they're startling coming out of my speakers. So I don't know what to do about that. I will have to figure out something, because I cannot live with one of my favorite songs on Balance being that loud and poppy. If you've had some problems with that too, if you have this box set, let me know. I'm hoping it's just I got a funky version, one of my, every once in a while, you just get a bad copy, and hopefully it can be replaced. But, hopefully all of my others sound very, very good, but Not Enough on this one is terrible. And no, I can't live with it. I can't live with the way it sounds. Sound quality wise, and what Burn Me Grunman did is perfection. I love it. And this album, if you want to buy an original of it, is a $300 to $400 record. And yet this is $125. And this one, sound quality wise, if you don't get one that has pops and clicks, sounds better than an original. So to me, it makes this box set a no-brainer. Overall, I am so happy, and I will figure out something about that. If it's not a fault of every single copy that came out, I will get a better copy of that record balance. But you know what? Wow. I'm so glad that this is available now. I'm so thankful. It's great to have access to balance and for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. And you know, we just haven't been getting a lot of Van Halen releases, and I would love for them to go into the vault and find more. I'm not sure they will. I don't know that Wolfie, Eddie's son, wants to. And if this is all we get, that will be enough. There's great music here. And I'm also, if you could see, I'm wearing, this is a vintage concert t-shirt that I'm wearing for this video. That I happened to find out shopping one day. I couldn't believe it. So that is my video about this box set. If you own it, let me know what you think of it and what you like and what stands out to you. And if you don't own it, a thumbs up to it, other than the clicks and pops on one song, on one album. And you know, the back and forth, if you have a critical ear, you know, I still say overall, this box set is dynamite and fantastic. I'm so glad to have it. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, hit the like button and the notification bell, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.